I like cities. I like cities and I like civilization. It's too bad about the war and the slavery. But a lot of people speculate that this is just a stage we've had to go through, I'm one of those people. I think we can get beyond it. But I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think through some of these means we've created some useful things. It's like the United States should not have taken all of North America. On the other hand, it did build a big freeway system, and now we can drive from one end to the other pretty much at will. I like infrastructure like that. And I like cities because, they're multicultural. And, they're not anti-tribal in it. They allow very small subcultures. And you go to a city and you'll see food and music from all over the world. You'll be exposed to all sorts of cultures. And there'll be books, and the best books, and banned books, and proper books. And there'll be music. And there'll be just new versions of all of these things being created, as well as representations of classical, cultural, you know, foods and music, and so on. So I like the city. I spent a lot of time hating the city because it's violent, and it's a machine that gobbles up resources, and um, it's in its name, the institution of war, as we understand it now, is founded. Um, but there's these good elements. So, I want to keep those, and I like cities. And I like nature because, you are in the rough of it, and a wild animal, even today, can hurt you. Um, but, it's harsh, and I won't over romanticize it. But it's pleasing and calming, and 99.9% of the time it's just wonderful and calming, and beneficial. Is an energy there that's, it's obvious to me that I come from nature, because if I go back to nature, there's this sort of energy that I really appreciate that gets masked out in the city. I think we ought to build cities with more nature integrated, and we do now, but there should be lots of trees, and if you have to cut down a tree, you should have to plant two, and so on and so forth, and make the city more green, make it a decent habitat for certain kinds of animals so that they can live cleanly, and not pollute the city any more than need be. So, yeah, and I was also thinking about currency in relation to all this, and I was watching this conspiracy theorist movie. It was talking about how, which I guess this is true, that our currency is all based on debt. It gets into circulation on debt. The government takes out more debt, and it puts more currency into the system. Well, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of money, and it's always going to be, in a sense, debt, because somebody's given you a piece of paper and you had given them something real. So it's like a debt of society to give you something real back when you need it. And so it's kind of like the citizen is holding that debt, because they've got the paper that can be redeemed for something real, and something substantial, I should say. And the thing is, you know, I think, just thinking of it as game theory wise, how else are you going to have an economic exchange? You need to defeat barter. Now, there's interesting things you can do with money. You could base it on commodities and stuff, and I thought about that, and I made a video about that, but I could never make that work. And so now I was thinking this, well, okay, let's say you don't want to put more money in the system just because the government has decided to print itself some money because it needs to spend it. Then, what about if every time a person's born, you figure they're going to live 100 years and they need $100,000 a year, and so there's $10 million the economy's going to need to support that person. So every time somebody's born, you put $10 million into the economy in terms of currency. And, if you had too high a population growth, then, you'd have inflation. You obviously would have to regulate that. But, I don't know what you do when someone dies exactly. Or if that matters, since we have growing population. I haven't thought that all the way through, but I'm saying you could have really different versions of currency, how currency works, but I think you're going to need some kind of a money system in no matter what, the most progressive, eco-friendly economy possible. Seems to me, just as a matter of game elements, that you need some sort of a credit record. to help abstract the transactions.